You're sitting in a restaurant staring at the menu. It's been 5 minutes, then 10. Everyone else has ordered. The server has circled back twice, and you're still trapped in this internal loop, weighing the pasta against the sandwich, wondering if you'll regret the burger, calculating which option will make you feel best 3 hours from now. It's just lunch. You know this, but your brain is treating it like a life or death decision. And this doesn't just happen with menus. It happens with everything. Which email to send first, which route to take to work, which show to watch, which shirt to wear. Decisions that should take seconds stretch into minutes, sometimes hours. And by the time you finally choose, you're exhausted. You feel ridiculous. You think there's something fundamentally wrong with you, that other people don't struggle like this, that you're uniquely broken or indecisive, but you're not. What's happening in your brain is not a character flaw. It's a malfunction in your decision-making hardware, something psychologists call analysis paralysis. And today, we're going to map out exactly why your brain turns simple choices into impossible equations. Because you're not overthinking because you're a perfectionist or anxious. You're overthinking because your brain is running a program. It was never supposed to run on decisions this small. The threat detection error. Here's what your brain is actually doing when you're stuck in decision paralysis. It's running a threat assessment scan on something that contains no real threat. Neuroscientists have discovered that your brain has two decision-making systems. The first is the automatic system, fast and intuitive, designed for low-stakes choices. The second is the analytical system, slow and deliberate, designed for high-stakes situations where getting it wrong has serious consequences. In a healthy brain, these systems know which decisions belong to which category. But in your brain, something has gone wrong. Your analytical system has hijacked decisions that should be automatic. So when you're choosing what to eat for lunch, your brain treats it like you're choosing a mortgage. It activates your prefrontal cortex, floods it with processing power, and starts running simulations. What if you order the wrong thing and feel sick? What if you regret it and can't stop thinking about what you should have ordered? What if this one choice ruins your entire day? This is called the threat detection error. And it's not just overthinking. It's your brain genuinely believing that making the wrong choice, even about something trivial, will result in suffering you can't recover from. And until that belief is addressed, no amount of telling yourself to just decide faster will work. The perfectionism trap. Let me show you where this pattern actually comes from. Most people who struggle with analysis paralysis grew up in environments where mistakes had disproportionate consequences. Maybe your parents were critical, and getting something wrong meant lectures or disappointment. Maybe you were praised for being smart, and that praise became conditional on always making the right choice. Maybe your household was chaotic, and the only control you had was trying to make perfect decisions to avoid making things worse. Whatever the specifics, you learned early that decisions are dangerous. That choosing wrong doesn't just mean a minor inconvenience, it means failure, judgment, proof that you're not good enough. Psychologists call this the perfectionism trap, and it rewires how your brain evaluates choices. Normal brains ask, "What do I want?" Your brain asks, "What's the objectively correct choice that will prevent all possible negative outcomes?" And here's the problem. That question is unanswerable. There is no objectively correct choice for most decisions. There's just preference. But your brain doesn't trust preference. It thinks preference is reckless, emotional, and irresponsible. So it keeps searching for certainty that doesn't exist. And while it searches, you stay frozen, unable to move forward, watching everyone else make choices effortlessly while you're trapped in an endless loop of what-ifs. The responsibility amplification effect. There's another layer to this that most people don't talk about. When you're stuck in analysis paralysis, you're not just overthinking the decision itself. You're overthinking the responsibility of having made it. Let me explain. Normal decision-making involves a process called post-choice rationalization. You choose something, and your brain automatically justifies that choice to make you feel good about it. It downplays the alternatives and amplifies the positives of what you picked. But your brain doesn't do that. Instead, it does the opposite. The moment you make a choice, your brain starts catastrophizing. It imagines all the ways this choice could go wrong. It obsesses over the options you didn't pick and convinces you they were probably better. This is called the responsibility amplification effect. You're not just choosing lunch. You're choosing lunch and then taking full emotional responsibility for whether that lunch turns out to be the best possible version of how you could have spent that moment of your life. Do you see how exhausting that is? Do you see why your brain tries to avoid making choices altogether? Because once you choose, you're on the hook. You've committed, and if it goes wrong, even slightly, your brain will make you relive that decision for hours, maybe days. So it keeps you in the planning stage forever, where everything is still hypothetical and you can't fail yet. It's not that you can't decide, it's that deciding feels like signing up for emotional torture. The information overload illusion. Here's where it gets worse. You probably think that if you just had more information, you'd be able to decide. So you research, you read reviews, you ask for opinions, you make pro-con lists, you analyze every angle. And somehow, the more information you gather, the harder the decision becomes. This is called the information overload illusion, and it's one of the cruelest tricks your brain plays on you. Because your brain isn't actually looking for information, it's looking for certainty. And certainty doesn't come from data. It comes from confidence in your ability to handle whatever happens after you choose. But you don't have that confidence. So your brain convinces you that the problem is insufficient information. Just one more review. Just one more perspective. Just a little more research, and then you'll know for sure. But that moment never comes, because no amount of information can eliminate the fundamental uncertainty of being alive. Every choice is a bet on an unknowable future, and your brain is trying to turn that bet into a guarantee. It wants a decision that comes with no risk, no regret, no possibility of loss. And because that's impossible, you stay stuck, gathering more and more data that doesn't actually bring you closer to deciding, just deeper into the paralysis. The decision fatigue spiral. Now, let's talk about what happens when you finally do make a decision. After all that overthinking, you'd think you'd feel relief, but you don't. You feel drained, irritable, completely depleted. This is decision fatigue, and it's the hidden cost of analysis paralysis. Neuroscience shows that your brain has a limited supply of decision-making energy every day. Each choice you make depletes that supply a little. But when you overthink, you're not just making one choice. You're mentally making the same choice dozens of times, simulating different outcomes, weighing and reweighing the options. By the time you actually decide, you've burned through your entire daily allotment of decision-making capacity on something that should have taken 5 seconds. And now you have nothing left for the decisions that actually matter. This creates a vicious cycle. You overthink small decisions, which exhausts you, which makes you more anxious about upcoming decisions, which makes you overthink even more. Eventually, you start avoiding decisions altogether. You let other people choose. You procrastinate. You default to whatever requires the least mental energy. Not because you don't care, but because your decision-making system is running on fumes. And the tragedy is, you're spending all this energy trying to make the perfect choice. But the overthinking itself guarantees that even if you choose correctly, you won't enjoy it, because you're too exhausted to feel anything but relief that the decision is over. The Rewiring Protocol. So how do you stop? How do you break a pattern that's been running for years? The first step is to categorize your decisions by actual stakes, not perceived stakes. Create 3 categories: irreversible decisions, reversible decisions, and trivial decisions. Irreversible decisions deserve your analytical system. These are things like career changes, major purchases, ending relationships. Reversible decisions deserve some thought, but not agony. These are things you can change if they don't work out. Trivial decisions, the ones that won't matter in a week, need to be automated. Here's the protocol. For any decision that won't matter in 7 days, you get 60 seconds to choose, not 60 seconds to analyze. 60 seconds total. Set a timer. When it goes off, you pick whatever option your gut leans toward, even slightly. No take back, no second guessing. The second step is to practice tolerating regret in small doses. Because what you're really afraid of isn't making the wrong choice. It's the feeling of regret that comes after. So you need to prove to your nervous system that regret won't destroy you. Order something at a restaurant you're not sure about. If you don't love it, sit with that disappointment instead of spiraling. Notice that you survive it, that it's uncomfortable but not unbearable, that one mediocre meal doesn't ruin your life. The more you practice this, the less power regret has over you. And the less you fear regret, the less you'll overthink trying to avoid it. The freedom in choosing wrong. Here's the truth that will set you free. There is no perfect decision. There never was. The restaurant meal you're agonizing over? Both options are fine. Neither will change your life. The shirt you can't pick. You'll look fine in either one. the route to work, you'll get there regardless. You've been operating under the belief that if you think hard enough, you can eliminate all risk and guarantee the optimal outcome. But optimization is a trap. It's an impossible standard that keeps you frozen in a prison of your own making. The people who seem to decide effortlessly aren't smarter than you. They haven't figured out the secret formula. They've just accepted something you haven't yet, that being wrong sometimes is the price of moving forward, that making a less than perfect choice and adjusting is better than making no choice at all, that life isn't about minimizing regret. It's about building confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes next. You don't need to make better decisions. You need to make faster ones and trust yourself to deal with the consequences. Because the cost of overthinking isn't just wasted time, it's a life spent in perpetual delay, always preparing, never arriving. And the version of you that's free from analysis paralysis isn't someone who never makes mistakes. It's someone who makes them quickly, learns from them, and moves on. That version is waiting for you. And it starts the moment you stop trying to choose perfectly and start choosing bravely.